Yeah. So the indifferent Utkala, who is the son of Ila, who was the daughter of Vayu, represents the Vata Rashmi, the windy rope. So later on we study in the fifth canto that all the luminaries that are there in the outer space, the list I have put, yeah, you can see below. The luminaries are the 12 Rashis with which we are familiar, the 27 Nakshatras, which also we know, the 9 Grahas, Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, Saturn, etc., etc., and also Rahu, Ketu, and unlimited Taraka that we see every night. All these are connected to Dhruva Loka with the help of a rope made up of wind. It is called as Vata Rashmi. So, the indifferent Utkala, who is the son of Ila, who is the daughter of Vayu. So, since he is the grandson of Vayu, he is empowered by Vayu. So, he represents or he is responsible for maintaining these Vata Rashmis, which are connecting all the luminaries which are there in the outer space to the Dhruva Loka. So, that is a service which Utkala had having gone to Dhruva Loka. So, that is the understanding. So these are the different luminaries which are there in the Borloka and Swargaloka. The 12 Rashis. What are the 12 Rashis? Mesha, Vrishaba, Mithuna, and 27 Nakshatras, Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, Navagrahas, Surya, Chandra, etc. and unlimited Tarakas. So that is Seva having gone to Dhruvaloka. Jadananda Badironmatta मुखाकृति अतन्मति लक्षितापति बालानां प्रशांतार्चेर इवानला. Hare Krishna, someone can read the translation.
Utkala appeared to the less intelligent.
Continue, Binit Prabhu.
Utkala appeared to the less intelligent persons on the road to be foolish, blind, dumb, deaf, and mad, although actually like fire covered with ashes without blazing flames.
Here, another important activity of Utkala mentioned here. To the unintelligent people on the road, Utkala appeared to be retarded, jada, blind, anda, deaf, badira, mad, muka, sorry, unmatta, and dumb, muka, akritir. Though he was not. He was like a fire with extinguished flames. So we understand something is burning when there is fire. But when the fire is extinguished, we say that there is no fire at all. When the no flames are there, there is no fire, we say. But underneath the ash, there is actually coal, which is red hot, that no one can see because the coal is covered by the burning red hot coal is covered by the ashes. So people think that there is no more fire. A situation like that. Externally, maybe appearing will be like Jada, Anda, Badira, Unmatta, Muka, but internally he is a Jivan Mukta, perfected person. So he behaved like a Avadut. So later on in the fifth canto, there comes another personality, Jada Bharata. So he was also behaving like this only outwardly. Inwardly, he is a perfect, pakka, knowledgeable person, but externally, he was behaving like a madman. So same thing here, he is also doing like this. On the path, he appeared to be retarded to the foolish people, but he did not have the intellect of a fool. He was the highly intelligent person. So because externally he was appearing and behaving like this, the ministers and the people of the country, they considered is not fit for the king. That's why they did not selected him as the king, and no one made him as the king because he himself is not interested in the kingdom and wealth of the kingdom, etc., etc. Because he was experiencing the bliss of the Atma. So that is the state of Utkala. So that is indicated in the next verse. Matvatam jadamunmattam kulavruddha samantrina vastaram bhupatim chakrur vayiyamsham brahmesutam.
For this reason, the ministers and all the elderly members of the family thought Utkala to be without intelligence and in fact mad. Thus, his younger brother, named Vatsara, the son of Brahmi, was elevated to the royal throne and he became king of the world.
Thinking that Utkala was retarded or mad, Matvatam, Jadam, Unmattam, the elders of the dynasty, along with the ministers, Kulavruddha Sa Mantrina, enthroned Vastara, his younger brother, the son of Brahmi, as the king. So Prabhupada writes, it appears that though there was monarchy, it was not at all an autocracy. There were senior family members and ministers who could make changes and elect the proper person to the throne, although the throne could be occupied only by the royal family. In modern days also, whenever there is a monarchy, sometimes the ministers and elderly members of the family select one member from the royal order, royal family, to occupy the throne in preference to others. So after thoroughly examination, then they select who should be the next king, something like that. So that is indicated here. So considering Utkala to be retarded and mad, they made Vastara, who was the younger brother of Utkala, because Dhruva had two wives, Ila and Brahmi. So Ila's son supposed to become the king, but he did not. He was not interested in becoming king. And Brahmi had two sons, Vastara and Kalpa were the two sons of Dhruva and Brahmi, who were the daughter of Prajapati Shishumara. So the eldest one was Vastara, and he was made as the next king after Dhruva. So, and these two people represent that the Vasara represents year and Kalpa represents a day of Brahma, for which the luminaries rotate. So we have seen the list of the luminaries in the previous slide. The 12 Rashis, 27 Nakshatras, 9 Grahas, and unlimited Tarakas. They are all situated within Shishumara planetary systems. Okay. Being situated within the Shishumara planetary system, they all rotate around Dhruvaloka for the entire day of Brahma. That is represented by Kalpa. Kalpa represents the day of Brahma. So throughout the period of day of Brahma, they continue to rotate. But in their rotation, their speeds are measured in terms of the years. The time which each and every planet will take to cover the entire zodiac plane once, that is called 1 year. Though the 12 Rashis are revolving around Dhruvaloka, the Navagrahas are also revolving around Dhruvaloka, but they travel with different speeds. As a result of the difference in speed, the planets move from one Rashi to other Rashi over a period of time. The sun covers all the 12 Rashis in 1 year, that is called Samvatsara. The moon covers all the 12 Rashis in a month, that is called Idavasara. Like the different planets will cover the entire zodiac belt over a period of time. That period is called as Vastara, or a year for that particular planet, for the people who are living there. So that is the understanding. So Vastara is the in charge of those years, and Kalpa is the in charge for the entire day of Brahma, making sure that all the planets are revolved, being connected to Dhruvaloka by the rope made up of wind, Vata Rashmi, which is the service of Utkala. So these are the various personalities they represent. So where they are moving around, that is indicated in the next verse. Prabhuji.
So Prabhuji, Vatsara means was the time taken for one revolution around the Dhruva planet.
No. Time taken by each planet to cover the 12 zodiac signs.
Acha, that is the meaning of Vatsara.
That is the meaning of Vasara.
And the time taken by the planet, by the stars, is different for each and every graha, and each and every star will take a different time.
Not stars, only planets will take different time.
So
The 27 nakshatras, 12 rashis, and the tarakas, they all have the same speed. Only the navagrahas have different speed. So how much time they take to cover the entire zodiac one time, one round? That is called Vasara.
okay. Thank you. And this King Vatsara is in charge of that.
He is the in charge of that particular seva.
Okay.
He'll
Thank you,
make sure that everyone is doing properly, following or not. Abhi sun is supposed to complete 1 year, in 1 year, one round.
Okay.
So he'll oversee sun completing that thing every year. If sun does not do, he will tell, oh sun, what happened? Delay ho raha hai, jaldi karo karke.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
These are all their sevas. They all been to Dhruva Loka. They are all living with Dhruva Maharaj now. They continue their seva till the end of the day of Brahma, along with Dhruva Maharaj. So this is how they are all assisting Lord Vishnu in maintenance of the universe. Swarvitirvassarasheshta Bharyasuta Sadatmajan Pushparnam Tigmaketum Cha Isham Urjam Vasumjayam. Yes, someone read the translation.
King
Vatsara had a
Vatsara,
very... Please continue, Mataji.
King Vatsara had a very dear wife whose name was Svarvithi, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu, and Jaya.
So Vastara, who was the eldest son of Brahmi, became the king. So Brahmi stands for Brahman. They are revolving around, all the planets revolve around pole star Dhruva Loka for the entire day of Brahma, and within that motion the planets revolve slowly in comparison to the zodiac signs and nakshatras. That's why they have relative motion. Based on the relative motion, they have years. That is called Vastara. That Vastara married Swarviti, and through her he begot 6 sons. So these 6 sons represents, Swarviti represents the outer space, which is Bhuvarloka and Svargaloka. So the 12 rashis, 27 nakshatras, and unlimited tarakas and navagrahas, they all revolve in the Swarviti. Swarviti stands for the outer space, which is nothing but Bhuvarloka and Svargaloka. Some of the planets and nakshatras and stars are in Bhuvarloka, some of them are in Svargaloka. So they are continuously revolving in this Swarviti. Viti, this is normal Viti there, no? Those who have gone to Tirupati, they say that Madaviti, Uttara Madaviti, Dakshina Madaviti, Purva Madaviti, Pachchima Madaviti. Viti means a street, a line basically. Swarviti means the lines in the Svargaloka. The Bhuvarloka and Svargaloka, they are called as Swar. So in that way. So in that Swar and Bhuvarloka, they revolve around. So among them, the most important one is Sun. And Sun will be revolving in the Bhuvarloka and Svargaloka in the Swarviti. Okay. And it takes 1 year to cover the 12 zodiac signs. In that 1 year, there are 6 seasons. So Vasara 6 suns represents the 6 seasons in a year. So these are the Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu, and Jaya are the in charges for the 6 seasons. Pushparna is the in charge for spring season, Vasanta Rutu. So Pushpa means the spring season where the new flowers are budding up. So in that way. So now
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this outer space means the space in which the different grahas Means outer space means Bhuvarloka or Swargaloka. So I didn't understand.
Outer space means Antariksha. This is the English terminology, outer space. In our Sanskrit, in our local Varnaka language, we can say simply as Antariksha or Bhuvarloka and Swargaloka. Both combined together is called Antariksha.
Okay, so the outer space in which the other grahas are there, that space itself is Bhuvarloka and Swargaloka.
Ah, yes. Not other grahas. Outer space in which the 9 grahas, the 12 zodiac signs, 27 nakshatras and Nalmra Tarakas are there. Earth is not a graha.
So
Grahas
all
stay
this
in the
is
outer space.
situated. Okay, so all those things are situated in Bhuvarloka and Swargaloka.
Yes, yes, yes. Bhuvarloka and Swargaloka.
So Bhuvarloka means our earth, no Prabhuji.
9. Bhurloka means earth. Bhurloka or Bhuloka. That is the earth. Bhuvarloka means Bhuvarloka.
What?
Om Bhur
I
Bhuva
didn't-
Swaha. Bhurloka, Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka. 3 are different. Gayatri mantra you must have heard many times.
Yeah.
Bhuloka is different, Bhuvarloka is different, Swargaloka is different.
Okay, so who stays in Bhuvarloka?
Bhuvarloka is the place meant for Gandharvas, Apsaras, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, Bhuta, Preta, Pishashas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Pitrudevatas, and Siddhacharana Vidyadharas. They all stay in the Bhuvarloka.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
पुष्पार्णस्य प्रभाभार्य दोषा च द्वे बभूवतु प्रातर्मध्यान्दिना सायम् इति हि आसन् प्रभासुता. Please, someone read.
Pushparna had 2 wives named Prabha and Dosha. Prabha had 3 sons named Pratar, Madhyandinam and Sayam.
Pushparna represents spring season, that is Vasanta Rutu. And within Vasanta Rutu within Vasanta Rutu, there are 60 days. In every season, there are 60 days because in 1 year we have 365 days. There are 6 seasons. Approximately in every season, there are 60 days. So what do you mean by day? Day has 2 parts. Daytime, Prabha, nighttime, Dosha. So Pushparna represents spring season. His 2 wives, Prabha and Dosha, represents the daytime and nighttime. And Prabha had 3 sons. So the 3 sons are Pratar, Madhyana and Saya, represents the 3 parts of the day. Pratar means morning, Madhyandina means afternoon, Saya means evening. So these are the different personalities who will oversee these particular times. They are the present deities of all these particular times. So Prabha had 3 sons. Similarly, Dosha also had 3 sons. That is mentioned in the next verse. Pradosho Nishita Vyushta iti dosha sutatraya Vyushta sutam Pushkarinyam Tarvate jasam adade.
Dosha had 3 sons. Okay, read Mataji.
Dosha had 3 sons, Pradosha, Nishitha and Vyushta. Vyushta's wife was named Pushkarini and she gave birth to a very powerful son named Sarvateja.
Yeah. Dosha means night. She represents night time. And Dosha had 3 sons, Pradosha, Nishita and Vyushta, who represents the 3 parts of the night. Pradosha means early night, maybe 6 to 9. Nishita means midnight, 9 to 3, during the middle of the night. And Vyushta represents the early dawn hours, morning 3 to 6 a.m., something like that. And then, so these are the 3 sons, Pradosha, Nishita and Vyushta. And Sarvateja, who is the son of Vyushta, that is dawn, he is representing dawn, and his wife Pushkarini. So Vyushta married Pushkarini, represents the sun. Sarvateja is the sun. The Vyushta early morning hours, and his wife Pushkarini gave birth to Sarvateja. So Pushkarini represents eastern lake. South Indians very much relate to it. Every South Indian temple are connected with a Pushkarini. And Sarvateja is sun, who rises at dawn from the eastern lake. The eastern ocean we can say generally, but here Pushkarini is used in order to indicate eastern ocean. So that is understanding. So early morning hours, morning 3 to 6, that is represented by Vushta, and the sun appears. So in that way. Sarvateja means he who gives the light, brightness everywhere. So in that way. Sa chakshu sutam akutyam patnyam manum avapaha manor asuta mahishi vairajan sutan purum kushtam tritam dyuman satyavantam mritam vratam agnistomam atiratram pradyumnam shivimulmukam.
Sarvateja's wife.
Sarvateja's wife.
Sorry. Okay.
Sarvateja,
Sarvateja's
also
wife,
called Chakshu.
Akuti. Okay.
He begot a son named Chakshusha Manu in his wife Akuti.
Yeah.
So Sarvateja married Akuti, and Sarvateja is also called as Chakshu, and they gave birth to Chakshusha Manu, who will be the sixth Manu. So he is already born in the Swayambhu Manvantara period only. So he had Nadvala, the queen of Chakshusha Manu, gave birth to sons without passion. So Chakshu married Nadvala, and they gave birth to Chakshusha Manu. Sorry, Chakshusha Manu. Nadvala, the queen of Chakshusha Manu. So basically, Sarvateja, who is also called Chakshu, he married Akuti. They gave birth to Chakshusha Manu. Chakshusha Manu married Nadvala, and they gave birth to many sons who are without passion. Their names are Puru, Kushta, Trita, Dyuman, Satyavan, Ruta, Vrata, Agnishtoma, Atiratra, Pradyumna, Shibi, and Ulmuka. So here, Sarvateja or Chakshu represents the eye based on the scriptural knowledge. Generally, the darkness is considered to be ignorance. When sun comes, there is brightness. Brightness is compared to the knowledge. So he is also called as Sarvateja, is also called as Chakshu. He has two names. Sarvateja means he is all bright, and Chakshu means he is the in charge for the eyes. So what kind of eyes? The eyes based on scriptural knowledge. Shastra Chakshu. As soon as the sun rises, we see everywhere. Everything, what is there everywhere. Similarly, as soon as the spiritual knowledge manifests in the core of the heart, we see things in their right perspective. So he represents the scriptural knowledge. So his son, Chakshusha Manu, represents a great devotee possessed of all good qualities, represented by his sons without passion. So in that way. So this explanation is given by Sri Veeraraghavacharya, one of the Sri Vaishnava Acharya. In his commentary to these verses, he talks about all these things. So basically the understanding is, if one gets up, just like the sun rises in the early morning hours during the Vyushta, the dawn times, if one gets up early morning hours and takes on to devotional activities, so one will get Chakshu, the scriptural eyes. With the scriptural eyes, one will give birth to all good qualities, represented by the sons of Swayambhu Manu. One himself, Chakshusha Manu. One himself becomes a great devotee like Chakshusha Manu, and will give rise to all the wonderful qualities represented by his sons, who are without passion, without any selfish motive. So these are all the different qualities and activities represented by the different sons of Dhruva Maharaj. They all have gone to Dhruva and they are situated there, and they are doing this seva. They will continue to do this seva for the entire day of Brahma, and afterward they will all go back to the spiritual world in the Paravyoma. So that is the understanding explained by the Acharyas in their commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Chakshusha Manu details are further mentioned in the 8th canto. 8th canto talks about the 14 Manus. Who are the 14 Manus? Who are their parents? Who is the Manvantara Avatara? What are their activities, etc. etc. So in that section, it is said that the son of Chakshu, known as Chakshusha, was the 6th Manu. He had many sons, headed by Puru, Purusha, and Sudyumna, and etc. It's like that. So here it is said that Pradyumna, Puru, Pradyumna, etc. etc. Little bit difference is there, but the names are mentioned. So this is the understanding of different personalities in that particular lineage. So here Chakshusha Manu had many sons, Puru, Kushta, Trita, etc. Last one is Ulmuka. Ulmuka is not the youngest one, seems to be the eldest one, and that Ulmuka became the next king. Ulmuko janayat putran pushkarinyam saduttaman angam sumanasam kyatim kratum agnirasam gayan.
Of the 12 sons, Ulmuka begot 6 sons in his wife Pushkarini. They were all very good sons, and their names were Anga, Sumana, Khyati, Kratu, Angira, and Gaya.
Yeah. So Ulmuka married Pushkarini and she gave birth to 6 wonderful sons. Anga, Sumana, Khyati, Kratu, Angira, and Gaya. So here comes Anga. So Anga is the son of Ulmuka, who was the son of Chakshusha Manu, who was the son of Chakshu, who was the son of Vyushta, who was the son of Vyushta was the son of Dosha was the wife, Pushparna, and Pushparna was the son of Vastara. Vastara was the son of Dhruva. So that is the connection from Dhruva Maharaj to Anga Maharaj. So now the entire chapter will talk about Anga. So Anga was the next king after Ulmuka. The next king of the entire kingdom is Anga, since Anga is the eldest son. Sunitangasya yo apaten susuvevena mulbanam yad daushiliyat sarajarshir nirvinno niragat purat.
The wife of Anga, Sunitha, gave birth to a son named Vena, who was very crooked. The saintly king Anga was very disappointed with Vena's bad character, and he left home and kingdom and went out to the forest.
The wife of Anga, Sunitha, gave birth to a fearful son named Vena. The saintly king Anga was a great king. Sa Rajarshi is a Rajarshi, is best among the kings. Disgusted with Vena's bad character, left home. So that is indicated here. Then Yam Angasepu Kupita Vagvajra Munaya Kila Gata Sostatya Bhuyaste Mamantur Dakshinam Karam Arajake Tadaloke Dasyubhu Pidita Praja Jato Narayanam Shena Prutur Adyakshitishwara.
My dear Vidura, when great sages curse, their words are as invincible as the thunderbolt. Thus, when they cursed King Vena out of anger, he died. After his death, since there was no king, all the rugs and thieves flourished, the kingdom became unregulated, and all the citizens suffered greatly. On seeing this, the great sages took the right hand of Vena as a churning rod, and as a result of their churning, Lord Vishnu, in his partial representation, made his advent as King Prithu, the original emperor of the world.
Yeah. Here the further Details. Okay. Anga is the Rajarshi, but he had a cruel son, unable to tolerate him. He left the kingdom prematurely, and then Vena became king. Then what happened is mentioned here. The sages whose words are like thunderbolts, becoming angry at Vena, cursed him because the people were without a king. They cursed him to die. When Vena died, there was no king because the people were without a king. The population was tormented by thieves. Thus, the sages chained the right hand of dead Vena. Prutu, the first king of the earth, was born as a portion of Lord Narayana. Jato Narayana Amshena. By churning the right arm of Vena, Vena's dead body, the great sages gave birth to one of the Amsha of Lord Narayana, known as Prutu. That is mentioned here. The cause of churning Vena's hand was the lack of a king. From that churning, Prutu appeared. He is called as the first king, Adhyakshitishwara. Prutu Adhyakshitishwara, the first king, because he established the towns and cities. So Prutu is the one who organically established, arranged the cities, towns, villages, sheds, farms, etc. etc. Later on, we read different activities of Prutu Maharaj. That time we will get all these details. Here, just a hint is given. So it's like that. So in
Hare
brief,
Krishna.
he is telling about what is going to happen. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, there are so many things which are difficult to understand. Like first thing is how means Chakshusha Manu is means at the level of Manu still in their means as his grandson somebody is born who is so cruel, like it is always
Wait,
said
wait,
that
wait. Whatever question you are asking, Vidura is going to ask now. Having heard these things in 1-2 verses, he asked so many questions. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? ध्रुव महाराज
thing
का
is this
डायनेस्टी में
Prabhuji,
वेना
like
कैसे आ सकता है? That is the question asked by
yeah,
Vidura now.
okay, and other question is Prabhuji, ye hand was used as a churning rod. So what was churned exactly? And
No,
means that means
hand was not used as a churning rod. They churned hand only.
because it is written somewhere na, here it was used as a yeah, the cause of churning nahi.
Thus, they churned the right hand of the dead Vena. So later on, please wait, Mataji. Don't ask all these questions now. Later on, chapter after chapter, will describe about all these things. See, we will discuss about them in detail. Wait, how did they churn? What they churned? What they used as a churning rod and all? We'll understand later on. So now Vidura is making an inquiry. Tasya Sheelani Dersadu Brahmanasya Mahatmana Rajan Rajnakatam Abhudushta Prajaya Dvimanayayo.
Vidura inquired from the sage Maitreya, my dear Brahmana, King Anga was very gentle. He had high character and was a saintly personality and lover of Brahminical culture. How is it that such a great soul got a bad son like Vena, because of whom he became indifferent to his kingdom and left it?
Yeah. How could King Anga, an ocean of good qualities, who was called as Rajarshi, Rajna, Sheela Nide, is the ocean of good qualities, who is saintly, sadhu, respectful to all the Brahmanas, is a great devotee, a Mahatmana, Mahabhagavata, have a bad son like Vena, whom the sages cursed him to die, which caused him to leave home in the disgrace. The first verse is that only for the sake of a bad son, Anga left the kingdom. What made him to leave the kingdom? That is the question. Because of the bad son, he became disgraced and left home. So what made King Vena leave home? That is the first question. The next question is, Kim Vamo Vena Uddishya Brahmadandam Ayuyujan Dandavrata Dare Rajni Munayo Dharma Kovida.
Vidura also inquired, How is it that the great sages who were completely conversant with religious principles desired to curse King Vena, who himself carried the rod of punishment, and thus awarded him the greatest punishment, that is Brahmashapa?
Hmm. Why did the great sages conversant with Dharma Kovida? The sages generally do not get into these mundane affairs. They stay in the forest and they are away. Why would they curse King Vena to die and all? Why would they churn the dead body of Vena? Why they were doing all these things? So, like that. Why did the sages conversant with Dharma, understanding their act would be sinful, punish and curse Vena, the king who is responsible for punishing others? So the question is, the king had the right to punish others, and the sages have no right to punish the king. So generally, the sages can only suggest the king. So they don't punish the king. But here the sages are punishing the king to the extent that the king will die. They caused him to die by uttering one word, Hunkara. So what made the sages to do that? What is the reason for that? Generally, the sages remain in the forest being peaceful. They don't meddle with general activity that are happening in the kingdom. They come and speak and go. They don't directly involve in the day-to-day activities of the kingdom. So why would they do this? That is the next inquiry. And they further ask, Navadyeha prajapala prajabir agavan api yad aso lokapalanam bibarti ojasvatejasa.
It is the duty of all citizens in the state never to insult the king, even though he sometimes appears to have done something very sinful. Because of his prowess, the king is always more influential than all other ruling chiefs.
So king is always beyond prosecution. So generally, whoever is in the position at the king and the ruler, they are beyond prosecution. So because they are supposed to represent Dharma and the Supreme Lord, the king, even if sinful, should not be disregarded by the citizens because he maintains the effectiveness of the Devatas by his power. The Lokapalas, the Devatas, are meant to maintain the entire universe, and the king is meant to maintain the kingdom. The king is working on behalf of the Lokapalas, and the Lokapalas are working on behalf of Kshirodaksha Vishnu, or who is the maintainer of the entire universe. So, in one sense, the king represents Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So, how could the Brahmanas curse him to die? Because he's representing the Supreme Lord. Why would they do that? So, in that way. एतत् आख्याहि मे ब्रह्मन् सुनीतात्मज चेष्टितं श्रद्धदानाय भक्ताय त्वं परावर वित्तमा.
Vidura requested Maitreya, My dear Brahmana, you are well conversant with all subjects, both past and future. Therefore, I wish to hear from you all the activities of King Vena. I am your faithful devotee, so please explain this.
He says that, O Brahmana, knowledgeable of the past and future, para avara vittama. You know about the past, you know about the future, what is going to happen also. Therefore, please tell the activities of Vena, with son of Sunita, to me, a faithful devotee. Shraddhanaya Bhaktaya. Kindly speak about Anga Maharaj and Vena's activities. How did Vena, why was Vena was cursed by the sages, and how his body was changed, how Prithu was produced. All these things kindly speak in detail. Because Maitreya quickly mentioned all those things in a couple of verses. But Vidura, out of eagerness, wants to know everything in detail. That's how he interrupted the flow of the discussion. Because Maitreya was going in fast forward way to come to the Prachetas. Because the original question was where and when Narada Muni spoke to Prachetas. He is supposed to come to Prachetas. So, but Vidura is putting a halt, requesting him to go into details. So this will be explained in the 2 chapters.